so I hear we're officially calling you Jimmy this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Jimmy.
tell me a little bit, Jimmy. We haven't, like, he's always in the past been keeping up some portion of this front or this charade.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he's exposed and everybody knows that he's Jimmy and he's not maybe everything he said that he was,
Mm-hmm.
what does that look like? Who is Jimmy?
I think that's what Jimmy Steve gets. Jimmy Steve gets faced with a lot of his past this season because he's a juggler. He juggles in the same way that Fiona juggles his life. He's been juggling for years, and in this, a lot of his past kind of comes back with him, which is his biggest fear. I think that what I like most about my character is he's not afraid of change, and he can blend in and be a chameleon in different worlds. And I think that this season, I think a lot of his past catches back up with him, and a lot of Jimmy comes back because for most part he's mostly been Steve, which is this James Bond action guy, man of action and adventure and excitement. And the season kind of starts with him being a little more Jimmy, which is a little more domesticated, in the kitchen with the kids, and being a homemaker. Takes on a bit of Fiona.
So
Fiona takes on a bit of him.
Would you say that I mean, you just said that that's very Jimmy, that's very true to his nature. Do you think that's going to help or hurt the relationship?
It definitely, the relationship takes on a different challenge, which is what do you do when you get bored in the relationship? Because their basis of their strong bond was sexual, and it was excitement, and it was passion, and that's not the bond now. So it's a little bit weaker of a bond, and they have to just kind of face those challenges.
Okay. Now, we saw at the end of season 2 the reveal of Jimmy's dad.
Yeah.
That he hooks up with Ian.
Well, a lot of Jimmy's kind of past catches up with him. He has to deal with.
So he does find out that, because that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, a lot of his childhood comes back, and his parents get divorced, and he finds out his dad's gay, and he starts having to look at himself, who he really is, as opposed to who he wants to be. And then he starts starting to feel real feelings and really who he is, and kind of this boy in him starts coming out, and he starts crumbling. He starts to realize that maybe this life isn't so glamorous. Maybe everything that he's romantic about and excited about, and this whole darker world that was so opposite to his, really isn't that opposite and isn't that exciting. And I think eventually it leads him into looking at, what about medical school? What about parts of my old life that were?
Interesting.
How much does he love Fiona?
Like he's a good influence on them, even if at times he tries to buy their affection. If you feel he's trying to buy their affection.
That's how he was raised. Jimmy was raised by his parents, bought things for him, and that's how they showed him love.
Right.
And so that's the only way that he knows how to show love back. And I mean, even now there's Nanda's bodyguard, Beto, is surveillancing him. And what he does every day is he goes out and he buys him stuff, he gives him stuff, That's how he gets people to like him, is he gives them things. He doesn't know different, and he hits a wall in his character this season because he's forced to get a real job. Nanda says you can't steal cars anymore. And he's faced with the biggest fear, which is you got to become a normal person.